Hi, I'm Natasha Pellick with New Realities, and today we have a very special guest, Irina Shkoda. She's an architect with an incredible vision for our future. Irina, welcome to our show. It's so nice to have you here. So I have a couple of different questions for you. Where did you come from, and what brought you into a space of having these visions for your architecture to be sustainable and alive, to live today with the consciousness and level of awareness that we're moving towards?
Well, I started at a very young age thinking about architecture, and it happened very easily drawing on a blackboard in my room. And so therefore I knew that there was something in architecture that I was rooted to, and I ended up going into architecture with the guidance of my father. And I was always fascinated by how the space of architecture is not only comfortable, functional, and beautiful, but also affordable. And that's how I wanted to come into all those roots, into thinking about what else does architecture need to live by or to create. And today we have a growing expansion of architecture in sustainability and resilient cities and all this other technology that is available to us, because we need to improve our lives. And the people living in our buildings or creating new buildings, whether it's a home, whether it's a building, multi-story, or office building, office tower, whatever it is, it has to be analyzed from the point of view of the user. How does it relate to the user, and what does it give them? What benefit? And so we all know that architecture is about space and form and all this interconnected technology that comes into play with one building form. So I was very interested in connecting the benefits to the end user to all the architecture that we're doing today.
So, I mean, I've also noticed in architecture there seems to be a lot of holdups with different laws and regulations in order to really truly be in a carbon neutral environment. So can you talk to me a little bit about the awareness of building for the future and building in a truly carbon neutral environment? I mean, what are some of the problems that you've encountered?
Well, definitely there's a different mindset. There's a different shift where people are becoming very conscious of their environment, and rightfully so, because we're bombarded with all this technology around us that, you know, when we come home to our homes, we want to be able to relax, enjoy it, function our best. And how do we do that? By making our spaces multifunctional. So we create spaces that are versatile, you know, not only beautiful or high ceilings, or they have the best fixtures or appliances or finishes. All that contributes to that look and feel of the space. But you also get into you know, the sustainability of it. You know, how much does my space sustain my lifestyle? And I think the same holds true for a building. You know, how sustainable is this building within a built community? You know, and how does it impact? So sustainability in relation to comfort and functionality is just up-leveled. You know, our comfort gets up-leveled, our functionality gets up-leveled, everything that we do in that space gets up-leveled, and we get to be our best.
Did you find any trouble, though, with some of the restrictions in zoning laws with trying to...
No, there are actually good incentives today for building sustainability. So the zoning is favorable in that direction, especially if you're using some of these new energy technologies. And I think that's an advantage, because the city, especially New York City, is going in a fast-paced direction towards being very sustainable and meeting all the carbon neutral standards. And this is why, you know, we're here. Right.
So if you could paint a vision for the future of New York, like how green are we gonna go, or how green are you gonna take it? What level are you gonna take it with your technique?
I mean, I can see buildings having a food supply chain I can see buildings being powered by themselves. I can see people connected in such a way to their work environment and living environment to be so congruent that there's no distinction, there's no disconnection, there's no gap. And so our aim is always to keep the end user in mind and develop or build buildings that are designed appropriately.
I see. So, but part of your focus as an architect is also to build completely fresh in the residential sense. And so can you paint a picture of like what the ideal home would feel and look like for today's modern day conscious activist?
Wow. Well, modern day to me has to be energy conscious and sustainable, of course. Those are givens. It also has to be very comfortable, very oriented into the colors and the palettes and the forms. You know, we can't just live in a box anymore. So the box is redefined today. That's why we see so many new forms coming out and all this expressive architecture, because we are looking to a new age of design. You know, these are feasible now. You know, the shapes that we can do today weren't feasible maybe 10, 15 years ago. But today is a different story.
So in the sense of like reusing raw material and not cutting down anymore the rainforest, like making that more relevant in our design techniques. I mean, do you think that most architects are adopting this, or do you think that we need some architects to really like blaze a trail to really show that this is the way that things are going to be?
There are definitely trailblazers out there, and I think that is great because as an architect you're building the built environment and you have a strong say in what you say you want in this world. And for me, coming with the attitude where I have 3 kids, I mean, I don't necessarily want to build inefficient buildings and harm their future, harm anybody's future. So the conscious architect, I guess, is promoting a better way of designing, building, and living.
That is so awesome. I'm so happy to know you, that you're, and it was really wonderful when we had talked earlier about, you know, with a design is not working, you got to just redesign it from the ground up. And I've always been really inspired by Buckminster Fuller's work. You're somewhat familiar with him and designing a whole new system. So do you see yourself also designing like eco-villages and you said something about modular?
Right, prefab modulars, yes.
And this is a good way of thinking for the conscious people out there listening to our show.
Well, the thing about architecture now is that people are making it more streamlined, very fast to build, and so therefore prefab becomes a logical solution. And I say that in a good sense, because in prefab you get to control the actual, you know, wall system. Everything is in a controlled environment. It gets built the way it should be built. You know, you don't get issues in the site where the contractor puts something different or he misses something, or, you know, all those things can happen. But in a factory built prefab condition, this doesn't happen. And so the quality is better. The speed to market is definitely better. And so I wouldn't argue the fact that homeowners today spend a year getting their home to build. You know, between the approvals, the design process, and the actual construction, it takes a year and a half to build. Needless to say, you can build a skyscraper in 18 months, okay? So we are definitely looking towards efficiencies, and definitely in technology, in materials and standards and building technologies. So those are all key components.
So there shouldn't be any fear associated around building fresh and building modularly. And I'm also hearing that for the conscious community, rather than considering buying an older home and then trying to put new windows in and trying to figure out solar and everything, to actually consider.
Exactly.
Because it could be affordable. is what I'm hearing as well.
It may be 10 to 15% more. I don't know, depending on the area. It might be a little bit higher, but the advantages are better. So you have to weigh out the advantages of why would you go with a modular home?
Yeah.
Why would you go with a prefab building? So all those advantages are looked at, and in the end, considering how much savings people get once they implement energy savings, it could literally add up to thousands of dollars in investment that's saved. So you're really potentially making a smart decision.
I'm also hearing that there might be some tax incentives with this, and being that you're not feeding the machine of these energy suckers, you know, that have been really sucking a lot of resources out of conscious communities that are really trying to make change in the world, and and I liked what you said with respect to urban planning and seeing a future of more urban farming and being closer to our food sources. So how long do you think it's going to take New York to really convert into? I mean,
very soon.
Very soon.
I can say that the building industry is really moving at a fast pace. You know, it could be a year, it could be 5 years, but in general, we're moving in the right direction. And definitely considering the fact that our buildings need to be more multiversed and multifunctional, we are creating sort of mini cities in our buildings. You know, it's just a way of socializing nowadays. You know, we can create so many different amenities that the building becomes an attraction. And so when you have all these people interacting in the building, and we're not so fixed to just making corridors straight, and each apartment is across each other. So, you know, there's ways of
having gardens in
in
between the hallways, and like as you said, having places where we can share tea with our neighbors, and opening up the spaces and being less boxed in. I mean, that in itself is a huge shift, and I think that's where we're moving towards.
We are. And our architecture aims to display that as best as we can by relating to the end user, and to create those spaces that people would, oh wow, I love being here. I love sitting here. I love reading here. I love walking here.
So spaces of inspiration.
Absolutely.
And our canvas for our life is supported by our environment.
Absolutely.
And also lessening the toxicity of our lives is also really important. So let's talk a little bit about how, like, little restaurants and cafes and different things like that. Have you noticed a lot of change in that realm as well, other than residential and the commercial space?
Well, the same thing is happening in the retail industry, where people are combining, of course, the aesthetic of the indoor space, and then they're adding outdoor space. So that's versatile in itself, and we see that, you know, given our streetscapes, we're making them a lot more visually appealing, and so therefore retail space is very important in any building on a ground floor, and design-wise it's holding true for them as well.
And also, I mean, I see a lot of these greenscapes with the High Line, and a lot of different urban planners are starting to penetrate the city. So, okay, so do you have any big projects on the horizon that you want to talk about?
Some are very non-disclosure oriented, but therefore that's good.
That is good.
But yes, there's some new projects in the horizon, and hopefully they'll come about soon.
Hopefully we'll see you also in Costa Rica and
internationally, of course. My dream is to be international. Yeah, absolutely. Coming from Croatia, I was born in Croatia, so I hope to build there too, or design.
It'd be wonderful, some beautiful spas and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. We do that.
The future of healing and beautification. So a lot of this with the architecture work, I see the consciousness and the beautification, and, you know, having the intelligence to be able to implement these different things.
And also, you have to remember, there's lots of business owners and entrepreneurs out there, and the key to them being successful is that they actually will grow their business when they're heart-centered and when they're focused on what they're doing for a greater good. And the time that they transcend, when they really know what they're doing and how they're doing it, then they start to look at their built environment. And that's what we're seeing, is that entrepreneurs take over their space and they really make it their own, and they create beautiful, comfortable, functional spaces that are supportive of their lifestyle and work.
And that does take someone that's bold and willing also to participate in this conscious shift that's accommodating not only to their own personal lives, but also to the earth and our resources and the reality of what that is. Yeah. And so when people want to get in touch with you, what is the best way that they can reach out?
Well, they can call our office for sure, or look up our website, Škoda Design, and it's SKODA design.com. Or reach out. I'm on the social sites as well.
So you can also, there it is right there. Look at that. That is incredible. It's the power of technology. So also, I'm going to put some links for the sites.
Great.
That'll be linked below. You'll be able to get in touch with Irina. And so here I am again. I am a co-host here at New Realities. Thank you so much for tuning in, and hopefully we'll hear from you soon. Peace.